One of my favorite quotes or phrases is what you celebrate, you replicate. So it's not just what you say or put on a t-shirt, but it's what you reward people with and it's what you do. And that's what we're talking about today with a special friend of mine, Marcus Klund, who is a linebacker coach, defensive run game coordinator with the Calgary Stampeders. And Marcus has helped fast and wide. He's an expert on the three high defense. But here's the great thing why Marcus is on this podcast. He has coached high school, Division two, and pro football. So anyone who would understand the psyche and mindset of athletes and how they want to be rewarded at any level would be Marcus. Marcus, thanks, buddy. Honored that you're with us.
I appreciate you having me on. Excited to be here.
When did, for our listeners, when did we first meet? 10 years ago?
It was probably, man, yeah, it's been a while. I'm trying to think.
I was at
Yeah,
Mesquite.
yeah, a long time. Yeah, you were at Petit. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so
You were
that
at
was,
Petit
yeah.
before you went to was it Colleyville?
I left Poteet and went to Plano East.
Okay.
And so I was at Poteet.
Yeah, it
My
was
last year was
Petit for sure.
13.
Yeah,
So it's been a
yeah.
long time. And you were
Yep.
at, where were you coaching then?
Lindenwood University.
Lindenwood. That's right.
Mhm.
And I thought being a small school coach, so I was at a school called Lone Oak, 300 kids in high school, and somehow got the job at Mesquite Poteet, which is about 1,700 kids in high school at the time, and it's probably about that now. And I just remember thinking, man, I'm in a big time place here, and all these college coaches are going to come in, and it was going to be great. And it really was pretty cool, but it wasn't amazing because some of these guys are just checking boxes and they got to tell their head coach they stopped by. But a few of them wanted to talk and we developed relationships. And so Marcus and I developed a friendship. And you called on me after you left Lindenwood, went to Southwest Baptist.
Yep.
Of course, I moved too, and we had just stayed friends.
Yep.
So tell us a little bit, Marcus, for everyone listening. How long did you coach high school? How long did you coach in college? And give us your 411.
Yeah, I did high school right when I got done. When I was done with college, got done playing college and graduated from college. Had an opportunity to stay on and continue, to go the college route, but I had an opportunity to go teach and coach high school football. Got my undergrad in physical education, health, and master's in education. I had that opportunity to go to a really good high school in the St. Louis area, Parkway West High School. I had a couple of good buddies that were on staff there. And then the teaching job was there as well. So you get out of college, an opportunity to make some money and do that was good. And also the other big reason why I went to high school right out of college instead of going right into GN at the college level is because I still had so many buddies that were still on the team, because once you become a graduate assistant, become part of staff, then you kind of have to go that route and kind of separate yourself from your buddies who's current players. So I know I wanted to do that, go to high school, did that for 2 years at Parkway West High School, and then got an opportunity to go back to Lindenwood as a graduate assistant, did that for 1 year as a GA before I was able to get on a full time. So I did that high school for 2 years. I did college for 13 at Lindenwood University. Then I had an opportunity to coach DBs there, coach D-line there, and then had an opportunity with my first defense coordinator job. Lindenwood University had a sister school at Lindenwood University Belleville. So I had an opportunity to go start that program. It was a brand new program. So I had an opportunity to go do that, which was awesome, very unique, really good experience to really learn from the ground up of just as simple as thing as like ordering equipment, getting equipment for a brand new program, just everything from the ground up to get that thing started. I was there for 1 year as a defense coordinator, and then got an opportunity to go to Southwest Baptist as a defense coordinator there, Division two in the MIAA at that time. So was there for a while, but then, so I did college for 13 years and then got an opportunity to get into the Canadian Football League with the Saskatchewan Roughriders. I spent 2 years with the Saskatchewan Roughriders as the defensive backs coach, and then had an opportunity to go to Edmonton with the defense coordinator I worked with at Saskatchewan. So I went with him to Edmonton, was there for a year as a defensive backs coach, and got an opportunity to come to Calgary as linebackers coach and run game coordinator. So going on my 5th year at the professional level.
And I've coached overseas in Germany, and what they say is a pretty good European league. And guys, just know it'd be like us trying to play rugby in New Zealand. They love it somewhat, but it's very niche. And we'd have about 1,000 people at our games. But Canada is like, we had a Canadian player and he was really good because in Canada, you literally grow up with it.
Yep.
And so this is a real league. And how awesome is it for you that you get to do this? And so I've been on the sidelines for a Canadian Football League game. One game, I was in Edmonton and they were playing the BC Lions. And at one time, the score was 1-0. And I took the picture of the scoreboard and probably put it all over social media because,
Yeah.
1-0 is funny. Tell us, Marcus, how can the score be 1-0 in Canada?
Yeah, they call it the ruse. If you say you're lining up, you're trying to kick a field goal and, kicker misses the field goal and the ball goes out of the back of the end zone, that's a point. And then also if you punt the football, let's say you punt it deep into the end zone and the returner does not bring the ball out of the end zone. If the returner catches it and takes a knee, or if you punt it out of the back of the end zone, that's also a point. So, yeah, it's pretty wild. It took me a minute to understand that too when I first got up here as well. What's crazy too is we actually won a game in 2024 when I was with the Edmonton Elks. The game was tied. We were playing, I believe it was Toronto. The game was tied, and there was one play left. And we were like, man, it's maybe a little bit too far of a field goal attempt for our place kicker, our field goal kicker. So we brought out our punter, who was leading the league. He set the league record. He averaged 53 yards a punt, which is crazy. He had an unbelievable leg and broke the record. So we brought him out and we snapped the ball and he punted that thing out of the back of the end zone and we won the football game, which is wild. Winning the football game out of a kick out of the back of end zones. Now, the CFL, that's been the CFL rule for a very long time, but now there are some changes. We got a new commissioner. So they are changing that rule going into effect this year. So you will no longer be awarded a point if the ball is getting kicked out of the back of the end zone.
Oh, I hate it, right? Because it made it different. Okay, Marcus is a ball coach. If you were to see Marcus at a clinic and start drawing on napkins, he would stay up till 2 a.m. He's a ball coach.
No doubt.
And everyone who listens to this knows this is about coaches. We don't care about much other than how can we help coaches, but how many times do we have a Canadian professional coach? So tell us, Marcus, kind of a tough question. What's the average quarterback in the CFL make a year?
Probably around 600, I think,
Okay.
Yeah, 600,000.
Okay. So do they have a minimum like there is in the NFL?
Yes. Yeah. There's a minimum. I'm going to say like the minimum is about 85,000, I believe is the minimum.
We're playing football.
Yeah.
And in Germany, just so everybody knows, the highest paid player we had on our team was $1,100 a month. They got housing. I made $1,000 a month to coach. So I should have negotiated a little bit better, but do these guys get housing or anything like that, Marcus?
So they'll get into the contracts. They'll get housing put into the contracts. Now our PR practice roster guys, they get the housing taken care of, but if you're an active player, you got to take care of your own housing in regards to that's a part of your contract.
So you're making enough money, you need to get your own place to live. But if you're a practice player, we're going to put you up probably with a roommate or something, about like Germany.
That's right. That's right.
All right. So let's talk about how to reward players. I love this topic. Years ago, I started coaching in 90, and I was a disciplinarian until I retired.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we were going to do boot camp. I said this on the podcast where we did about boot camp. The first way to win a game is not to lose it. You must not make the critical mistake and lose a game. So you must have discipline and all that. But where I've morphed in my career and in my thinking is you have to reward people for what you want.
Yep.
And it's okay. Everybody wants a helmet sticker. My Apple Watch is going to shoot off fireworks and tell me good job if I make my step count today. It's basically a helmet sticker. Yep. So we all want our helmet stickers. And that was really one of my aha moments about Germany was our center was 35 years old, had won 7 German Bowls, and he cared about a sticker. Mm-hmm. So what are things, Marcus, that if I just said right now, high school, college, pro, what's one thing a coach could give any of those age group people, and even someone making $600,000? I really think you don't even put that in the equation. What's one thing, if you had to pick one, you'd say this is a reward they would want?
I mean, for us, like a T-shirt is something that wherever a lot of places I've been, we've handed out T-shirts to reward guys on. Just as simple as a T-shirt. It's different. They get to wear it. They can wear it around the facility. Obviously, high school, they can wear it in a classroom. Not everybody has one, so I think that's also unique. Not everybody has one. You're one of the few that has something like that. And once you get them, it's just other guys want them. You make a cool T-shirt, you make a cool design. But like you said, it's something that everybody wants. That's one big thing that we do that I've been around is just a T-shirt.
Okay, so let's dive into the t-shirts because I'm all in on t-shirts.
Yep.
One of my buddies, Josh Finney, he's in East Texas, Winsboro, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
He was at a school that I think they dressed out about 22. And he said, Randy, I'm giving anybody who makes a tackle on kickoff a t-shirt.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember thinking, well, that's pretty cool. And I said, well, what if a kid, like, did they get more than one? And he goes, yeah, coach.
Yep.
And he said, kids will run off the field dead tired and yell, coach, give me my t-shirt. Give me my t-shirt, because every coach listening to this who is at a 3A or below at any state knows it's hard to get guys to cover kickoffs.
Right. Yep.
Tell me what you guys, the number one t-shirt you guys do with Calgary or what you did anyway.
We do what you're just saying right there. So our special teams coach, Coach Dickinson, Craig Dickinson, he awards what he calls flying 40s on our kickoff team. So flying 40s, anybody that's at a 4-1 or below a 4-1 flying 40, he gives out T-shirts. And that's what the T-shirt says. So same thing. If you have a couple flying 40s, then you get a couple T-shirts. So you get it, he hands out T-shirts for every flying 40 that an individual gets. And that's something he starts out every single meeting. He calls the guy out, hey, Jimmy Joe got a 4.0 flying 40, boom, T-shirt. They're different kind of colors too. So you can get, your first one is this certain color. All right, your second one is this color. So you can kind of tell, okay, if the guy's in the red one, okay, well, man, that's like a third tier type. So it's pretty cool there. We give one out defensively. We call the BMFC, which is the Bad Mother Effer Club. So those, and it's an awesome T-shirt, but those are a little bit more earned through their play and they're not easily given. And I think that's another thing that you do have certain aspects in your program where everyone can earn a T-shirt, that you can earn them and they're not like hard to get. You are rewarding, but there are certain parts in your program too that I do believe in that it is hard to get. It is hard for a defense player to get a BMFC T-shirt. We only had a few last year. I think we have 5 or 6 guys that earned a BMFC T-shirt. So we have those built in that you can get them through effort and through things like that. But then there are other awards that does take a lot. The criteria is longer and harder to get. So I think it's really good to have both. Oop, I can't hear you, Coach. Gotcha. Yep.
Okay, I have this little thing over here. And so I have these little ear things, and usually I can hear through them. So I'm not hearing through it. So I was making sure my mic was working, but my mic, if nothing else, looks cool.
It looks great.
I love that you started with T-shirts. Tell us, I'm intrigued by the flying 4-1s.
Yep.
So let's talk U.S. football field. If you're kicking off from the 40, you would time someone from the 50 to the 10?
So it'd be from where the ball's kicked. So obviously hand goes down, guys are running. When they cross the line of scrimmage, boom, you start the clock.
Nice.
So that's why we call it flying 40s, because they're already in motion.
Yeah, they're 4 or 5 yards deep and they're running.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And if you were a high school coach, I know it's a hard question, but would it be a flying 4-3 or something, or 4-4?
Yeah, I think so. I think a 4-3, or, I think you kind of go to practice, you kind of practice it, kind of get, if you're first starting out, kind of get a good gauge of what it's what's achievable. You don't want to make it just crazy where, it's just so
Yeah.
hard to get to where
Yeah.
not just one guy can get it, that multiple guys can, have a chance. But I think you got to try to start that out and practice and kind of get a gauge for it from a high school level.
All right. So
Even college.
here's a story, Marcus, you're going to be able to use. Who's your special teams coordinator?
Craig Dickinson.
All right. Quiz him and see if he knows this story.
Okay.
I heard this at a clinic 15 years ago by a speed trainer. And he said, does anyone know why the 40 is such a big deal? And of course, nobody knew.
Yeah.
And he said, no one in football runs 40 yards without changing directions.
Right.
And in the 1950s, Paul Brown was the head coach of the Browns, and they were about to play their first exhibition game. And he had neglected kickoff. And 2 days before the exhibition game, he watched film and he watched kickoff, and he determined they needed to be able to run about 40 yards.
Yep.
And he lined all his guys up and he timed them in the 40. And the fastest ones got on kickoff.
Yep.
And that, sir, is why the 40 is the 40.
Yep.
I love that story.
I'll be dang. I didn't hear that.
It's one of those that I've never heard anywhere else. Yeah, I think that's fascinating because what's great about it is this flying 40 you're talking about. This is really the only time in football it really comes into play.
Exactly right. Yep.
And man, a t-shirt, whether it's giving them a tackle, they're a 4-1-40, they're probably going to get down there and shock and shed someone and make something happen.
That's right.
Yeah.
Multiple flying 40 guys on your kickoff. You're getting to the ball quickly.
Yeah. Is there any other t-shirts you can remember at Southwest Baptist or anything like that?
When I was in Saskatchewan, we did what we call a fight club. We had a big board outside our main team meeting room, and they said Fight Club on it. So you had different levels, like you had featherweight, lightweight, middleweight, heavyweight, whatever the order is. You start from the really lightweight, just kind of work yourself up. Obviously, the heavyweight is the top tier. And that was all based off of production. Each position had their own production criteria. And us coaches, we would be responsible to make sure that we're always keeping track of Fight Club points. And then we would have those points by the guys' name on the Fight Club. Once they reached a certain weight class, they got a t-shirt that says like a belt on it. Then they had like lightweight. As long as their production keeps climbing, well, now they move to a bigger weight class. And then now they get a t-shirt for that weight class. And then at the end of the year, what was awesome, I thought was so cool, was at the end of the year, the guys that were in the heavyweight guy, because it was hard to get to the heavyweight. You got into that heavyweight criteria, you got a real championship belt, a real heavyweight championship belt that had the Rough Rider decals. It was so dang cool. To me, when I first saw that, I was like, man, that right there is so cool to have for the rest of your life that you could put up and show or put in a frame and hang it on a wall. I thought it was awesome. But kind of the same deal, anytime guys got into that certain weight class, they got a really cool t-shirt and it became competitive within your own team. So now the guys are competing against each other. Hey, I got more production points. So you're rewarding and you're showing, we're putting out there on the board of everybody's production. So everybody's like, hey, but then it kind of gets really competitive because, players like, coach, man, I think I should have had this amount of Fight Club points. And then so the guys cared, they want their name on that board. They want to keep climbing the board and they want that championship belt at the end of the year. So it was really cool.
And think about it, coaches, give them whatever you give them. A t-shirt's a little tougher. They're going to keep it for a long time, but a belt of any form. But if you give them a trophy or a plaque or anything, they will keep it the rest of their lives.
Yep. I give out even, I would for practice player. And I still do it for practice player of the day. What I do is I'll put together a template that has their college picture. I'll have their production, their point of attack grade, their production grade from that practice. Whoever had the most production becomes our dog of the day. And so I'll put that, and before I start any type of meeting, I always put that up. So the guys don't even know who won it. And we start the meeting. First slide that they see is, all right, who was the dog of the day? And whoever that linebacker is, I'll give him a candy bar,
Right.
just
Who
a candy bar
cares?
hat.
Who
And they
cares?
love it. And they love it. So
Yeah.
then you get to find out, hey, all right, what's each person's favorite candy? So that you find out what they want. And that's one thing I always have at the beginning of the year. All right, what's your favorite candy? And I always have a bunch of snacks and all kinds of stuff in the meeting room anyways for the guys. But, just something that simple, them knowing that they won the day from a production,
Yeah.
then I'm highlighting and showing them in front of everybody, showing their college picture, and then just give them a dang candy bar. They love it.
As you know, I love celebrating achievement and tracking and rewarding players for doing good stuff, because if you reward them, they're going to do it more. Most all of us, we find ways to reward the measurables, but we should also find ways to track and rate the intangibles. This is why I'm releasing an app called Arena OVR May 1st. Going to track things like the measurables we all keep up with, testing on speed and power and even GPA, but it's also going to track and rate daily the intangibles: competitor, student, teammate, and citizen. Studies show kids today get the same dopamine release from posting something on social media that gets a bunch of likes that we used to get back in the day scoring a touchdown. We all have players who strive to be the best, but how do we rate who is the best? This will be a real scoreboard for your measurables and intangibles. May 1st, learn more about it on CoachRandyJackson.com.
Dang candy bar, they love it. They love it.
They can't get enough of it. It's
No,
how our
they
brains
can't.
are.
And it becomes competitive. Now they're competing against
Yeah.
each other because now the next guy wants one.
Now, this is worth everyone's listen right here. If you have to choose between giving awards for games or practice, you should always choose practice.
Practice. I agree. 100%.
Practice. But we used to grade practice.
Yep.
And I'm going to talk to you about these production points because I want coaches to be able to take this. And high school coaches, if I said, hey, we're going to grade practice, they're going to cringe and want to kill me. But I just say, look, guys, I need you to grade 12 plays of practice.
Yeah.
10. It needs to be when we go competitive, 11 on 11, grade it.
Yep.
And then I want you to post it because they need to know.
Yep.
In high school, our 2 big days of the week were Monday and Tuesday. And whoever won those 2 days, cumulative, the top 3 guys that won practice got to carry out a flag. Another guy got to carry out a flag. And then number 1 got to carry out a chain because our motto that year was claim the chain or something. And we practiced our butt off. Now, we punished loafs. So one time I'm visiting a college and I'm in the O-line room and the coach puts up their practice grades and he says, he has them out there. Ben, you did this, you had 1 loaf. Jermaine, you did this, you had 2 loaves. And I asked him afterwards, how do you measure a loaf?
Yeah.
So we punished guys for loaves and we rewarded guys with great effort. Now, here's how you punish loafs. You stop the film whenever you feel like the play is over. You just stop the film when you think the whistle blew. And there's 3 things a player can be doing. They can be chasing, they can be engaged, or they're loafing. And that's offense or defense. That's right. You just count loaves. And now if you really want to get serious about this and really practice like no one else and win a bunch of games, you punish the unit group for loafs.
Yep.
And so I know that took a lot of time, but it was worth it. Any coach, if one coach listens to this and starts grading loaves, it's going to change their life forever. Tell us, Marcus, about the production points. So let's go. I love the DB is going to be let's say a DB. Well, let's go linebackers. If y'all did the heavyweight, lightweight, featherweight on production points, you're going to grade, what's y'all's heavy days of the week in practice?
Our day, we call them like day 1 and day 2.
Okay.
Our day 1, day 2 are our heavy days.
Okay. And it all depends on when you're playing. I know y'all have big Friday night games there too. So day 1, how can a linebacker, and just think about how you can help coaches here,
Yep.
give us production points.
Yep. So for one, because you're just right now, because you're already talking about effort, so I'll just kind of just piggyback off of that. So we call it RTB. So RTB effort, relentless to the ball. So there's a difference of running to the ball, and there's a difference of being relentless to the ball. So with the LBs, there's a little grade that there's a column that says RTB effort. And if I see RTB effort, boom, they get a production grade for an RTB. Okay. If they have a lack of effort, that column, I call it CAT. And that's the one you don't want any marks in the CAT column. And what CAT means is crimes against the team. So crimes against you loafing, that's a damn crime against the team. So, and if you continue to commit crimes against the team, well, you ain't going to play. We can't count on you. You're not going to play. You're really kind of showing who you really are if you have marks in that CAT column. But then, I do tackles. So I do tackles, even though we're not tackling in practice. But if you're in a position where you get a tag, you could tag off, or if it's in the box, we're saying we're inside running, you get a good fit. Those are tackles. If it's a perimeter play and you're there and you tag the hip, that's a tackle. So tackling, obviously PBUs, tackles for loss, sacks. So, for a linebacker, if you're blitzing, if you get there, you get a sack. And each one is a certain amount of points. So a sack is 3 points. TFL is 2 points. And then on the tackles, for every 2 tackles in practice, it's 1 point. So I have like a criteria. And then interception is 3 points. A forced fumble is 2. Fumble recovery is 2. But then I also do strip attempts. So every time you get a strip attempt where you're trying to peanut punch the ball, you get 0.5. You get a half a point. And it is mandatory out of the linebacker room that we have at least 5 strip attempts within the unit. And usually we get to about 7 every practice that we have attempts. And then if we don't reach that 5 attempt strips, then that is a CAT. That's 1 CAT against the unit. So then now, I build this so I have that whole thing, and that's where I get my points. And then, you can get negatives. Like if you're in a bad position, that's a missed tackle. You get negatives on there. So yeah.
Okay.
So I have a whole kind of like a format that I use in regards to my production.
So you have a format.
Yep.
And so even at the pro level, there's crimes against the team, and y'all will nail their butts.
Absolutely. Yep.
Because I really think that's probably one of the things coaches are scared to do.
No.
And you can't be scared to demand what it takes to win.
Exactly right.
So what do you guys do in Calgary? Is it T-shirts if they score high on production in practice?
I don't do, like me personally, I don't do T-shirts. I do, like I said, whoever wins, they get, their picture. I give them a candy bar.
Okay.
So yeah, I do all those things.
Okay. And
nothing from like me personally giving them a T-shirt.
Yeah. And so this is for the linebacker group. This is your thing.
Correct. Yes.
Just so all you listeners know, I've been to Canada and eaten the greatest Canadian dish ever called poutine, and it's French fries and brown gravy and cheese curds or something. Yeah. And so I've asked Marcus several years in a row now to get a sponsorship with a local restaurant and have a poutine player of the day.
Yeah.
So the fact he's still saying candy bars disappoints me a little bit.
Hey, I'm writing it down right now. Poutine.
Yes.
I love it. Poutine player of the day.
Because they would all love it.
Oh, 100%.
I'm going to tell you a story, and I think you could use it or anybody could use it, and you got to find different ways. But 20 years ago, I'm at a clinic, and Butch Davis is speaking. He's the defensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys. And here's what he said: whatever you emphasize, you will get.
Absolutely.
And whatever you reward, you will get more of. I think this was ahead of his time. And so this is in the 90s. And so, heck, we're getting 30 years ago. But this is the Cowboys' glory days. And he said what they did with the Cowboys was that every practice, for every turnover you created or made happen, well, I guess every turnover that you caused or recovered, you got $5.
Yeah.
Now that sounds goofy, but
Yeah.
on Fridays or Saturday, I really don't remember, it doesn't matter, they would have a team meeting and everybody's in there. And they're going to call up the defensive guys one by one and say, Darren Woodson, you created 3 turnovers this week. And they would have $5 bills and count them 1, 2, 3.
Yep.
And those guys cared about that.
Yep.
And it wasn't, these guys, even 30 years ago, were making $1 million, and it wasn't about the money. They wanted the recognition because they would say, Darren, you intercepted one and you caused a fumble and you recovered a fumble.
Yep.
And he said it didn't matter. Charles Haley, the defensive end that was a little crazy, it didn't matter what you said, Charles, he was going to argue with you that he deserved another one. Not because he wanted $5 more, but because he wanted more recognition.
Yep.
So think about it, coaches, whatever you need to do more of. And I love turnovers. I think turnovers would be an easy one. You should celebrate them. I've heard guys call it Turnover Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
And anyone who creates a turnover in practice, all the defensive coaches have helmet stickers in their pockets. And if they create a turnover, man, they're going to go put it on the back of their helmet right there and high five them and get ready for the next play. But is there anything you guys grade as a team, anywhere you've been, Calgary or wherever, but where you recognize people in front of the team?
We'll do, from a practice standpoint, players get called out for, hey, great day. We always have standard clips. Our head coach will go in and start every meeting with, hey, here's 3 standard clips. Okay, here's 3 non-standard clips of who our identity, who we as a team and an organization. So always start out with, here's the standard, here's the non-standard, and everybody's seen it. So that part is great. It's always been awesome. And that's been really a lot of places I've been. It's been that way. But then game days, obviously we have game balls. We have awards that we give out. A hard hat, it's a fireman helmet. It's a hard hat that's all, Calgary Stampeder decaled up, that goes to the hard hat player. And then we have the sledgehammer, a guy that's just laying wood out there, just big hits. Then your players.
So how do you qualify for the hard hat?
Just the guy that's just grit.
Okay. Man, so it's a toughness award.
It's the tough, yeah.
Who votes on it?
Staff.
Okay. So let's say your game's on Saturday. Yep. And staff's going to meet on Sunday. These are announced on Monday?
Exactly. Yep. Okay. When we come back and have our team meeting after a game.
Yeah.
So like after a game, we'll go into the locker room. Our head coach, he'll recognize, the players that really stood out in the game. Not necessarily just an offensive MVP. He may call out 3 offensive players, 3 defensive players that really stood out in the game. A couple special teams guys that really stood out in the game. So he recognized those guys right away when we come into the locker room. And then when we come back, for our first team meeting, then that's where we hand out the awards, the sledgehammer. And it's a big sledgehammer. And like you said, it has decals of the players' numbers, like the number on the back of the helmet. And we put those numbers on the decal on the handle. And then one that ends up winning the sledgehammer award at the end of the year, it gets to keep it.
Oh, my. So the handle has everyone's sticker. You can see how many won it.
That's right.
But whoever wins it the most keeps it.
You're exactly right.
Guys, that's gold.
Yep. Same for the hard hat.
So think about this.
The players of the game, they'll get game ball. And then our head coach, obviously we have gift cards and stuff. We'll game ball gift card.
Yeah.
But then not only outside of that, then those other guys that were recognized that weren't the player of the game, but they were recognized for the performance of the game, they'll get gift cards. So, they're all getting things. We're rewarding them for what they did. So.
Yeah. I interviewed a ladies basketball coach, Jill McDill, who's around Dallas, Texas, and she's one of the great ones here. She buys 50-cent trophies on Amazon, and for every charge that you take, you get a trophy.
Nice.
And it's nice, right? And they keep them in their locker.
Yeah.
If a charge isn't worth 50 cents, then what are we doing?
Exactly. That's right.
So one of the things that we have to get people to do, this is the equivalent of taking a charge. When your receivers block, you're coaching well. If your receivers block, then you're probably doing boot camp, you're coaching.
Yep.
So we would have a cinder block, a gray cinder block, and every week we had the cinder block award for the receiver that blocked the most, and we would have them sign it. Now, I like your idea too. I don't know if stickers would stick on that cinder block, but I don't think we ever did this. I think we would just keep the cinder blocks and put them like in a trophy case,
Yeah.
which isn't that terrible either. But maybe there ought to be 2 cinder blocks. There should be. And whoever gets the most cinder block awards keeps it.
Yeah.
And you should have one probably to keep. So think about this, coaches. What is cheap? And you can, Steve Ford, who you know, Marcus, was my
I
O-line.
don't mean to interrupt you, but I was just about to say about Ford and that Roach Award.
Yes.
Awesome. Love.
So Steve Ford, my O-line guy, has
Yeah.
a little trophy, and I don't know how he rigged it up, but he put a Raid can over it, but it looks like a trophy on the bottom and all. But whoever got the most roaches, which is when you're on top of someone as an O-lineman, they called it the roach race. And kids love it.
It was awesome. I remember because whenever I was there, obviously,
Yeah.
Spent a little time there at North Forney. I remember seeing pictures of it, seeing
Yeah.
it, and it was just so cool.
Okay,
how
so
they did that.
all right, Marcus. So let's. I love scenarios.
Mhm.
All right, so most schools in the United States don't get an athletic period, but even the ones that do, we got to do extra. All right, so we're going to do 6 a.m. weights, and it's voluntary.
Yeah.
We all know this as coaches. It's not just about getting kids stronger, but it's about people getting out of bed, coming together. We're probably going to have a 3-minute little leadership thing, but man, we're going to bring juice. And how you get people to come to a 6 a.m. workout when it's voluntary, but it's not. But everybody still isn't going to come because kids are
Right.
kids. So let's really put some meat on the bone here. It's easy to reward people who want to be the poutine player of the week. What about the kids who we need to figure out a way to motivate them who aren't? You know how they always say you got your 10%, your 80, and your 10.
Yep.
How do we motivate the 80 to do even better?
Yeah, I mean, that's always that $1 million question there for everybody, right? How do you motivate, especially the high school kids, the freshmen, sophomore guys? It's usually those are, to me, usually seem to be the hardest just because they're still trying to figure it out. But I mean, I know there's probably guys that are seniors that are hard to motivate and get in there too. So I'm sure it's probably all levels. But yeah, I think when it comes to getting them up early, the biggest thing you have to reward attendance. And it ain't got to be like 100%. You can even go 90% attendance, doing something, calling guys out for the player of the, which we did whenever I was there at North Forney there for a short period. We'd always have, guys that we would call out at the end of the workout of, hey, this guy, multiple guys, you're recognizing their work ethic. That's the $1 million question for all of us, because how can we all get those kids that are so hard to motivate to get up early in those, that's a $1 million question. It's tough. It's a battle for everybody.
That's the coach's office question.
Yeah.
I'm developing an app, Marcus, that's like players will get ratings like a Madden rating.
Yeah.
And so you'll be able to plus or minus them and their rating will change. Yeah. And I think that'll be a big deal. I think that'll help. But let's put it this way, guys. You're probably not going to shame them and isolate them and make them feel bad to make them come. You're probably going to have to here's what I would do. We're going to lift weights Monday through Thursday at 6 a.m. And on Thursday, we're going to have breakfast tacos for everyone who made it every day. And y'all get the first 2 weeks, it might need to be 3 out of 4 days.
Right.
And then we graduate, but find something. It doesn't have to be much. And then if someone comes a month in a row, give them a t-shirt.
Yeah.
But I also think too, Marcus, is social media a big deal in the pros?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So for me, I'm going to give guys breakfast tacos on Thursday, and I'm taking a picture and I'm putting it on social media.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to have a parent chat. I'm going to send it to the parents.
Yeah.
But I think what you have to do with the kid that we all need, And let's face it, he's probably a dadgum wide receiver who won't block, but we need to throw gel screen to him. But we know we all need this kid,
Yep.
and we can either be old man, get off my lawn, or we can find a way to motivate. And we might never get all of them.
No.
But another thing we used to do was we're going to play 7-on-7 after school.
Mm-hmm.
You're not coming to 7-on-7 if you didn't come and lift weights.
Right.
So make it where you can't make those kids come. They can't stay in your house and all that, but you can do things for other kids and reward them that they don't get to be a part of.
Ain't no doubt. And I think, though, with the motivating with some of these kids is sometimes those that you find hard to motivate. Well, I think it's important, and I think it's our job and our responsibility as a coach is to spend time with that kid. Find out what does motivate the kid.
Yeah.
What does motivate the kid. And as a coach, man, do everything we can to help that kid turn over that leaf of, hey, all right, you're not coming. There's a little bit of laziness there. What motivates you? Because not all kids are motivated the same. I mean, that same thing for us coaches, adults. We're all motivated by different things in different ways. So I think it is important. And I'm a big relationship guy. And I think it's extremely important that us as coaches, man, that we build these relationships with these guys and find out what motivates them. Some guys you ain't got to worry about because they're self-motivated. They're the ones that's always going to be there. They're your top 10 percenters. But like you said, those 80 percenters, even the bottom 10 percenters are the ones that you really are trying to get the bottom 10 into the 80 and the 80 into the top 10. That's always the fight. But I think that's extremely important. If you find a kid that, man, it's just hard to motivate, spend time with them. Get to know them. Because I think that once they feel that you care and they feel that relationship, that bond that you're trying to create, now I feel that hey, I got a little bit more purpose of things. Hey, this guy really, he does care about me. I want to show him. I want to kind of give back. I think that's always important. Instead of guys, okay, hey, this kid ain't showing up. Now we're just demeaning him. Jimmy Joe ain't doing this. And now the kid don't ever want to do anything. So, I think it is important that we exhaust all options as a coach, man, to try to reach out and build relationships and find out what motivates those kids that have a hard time getting motivated.
And to your point, the kid who can't come, maybe the kid who's not been coming to 6 a.m. workouts. One time I was really hammering this kid, and he said, Coach, I slept in the car last night because my mama's boyfriend kind of tried to snuggle up to me in bed.
Oh, wow.
And whoa. So you have to ask questions and make sure, but in general, guys, you have to celebrate things that you want more
100%.
of. And I think t-shirts are probably universal. We used to do a thing that if you came to 90% of the summer workouts, we would put a shield patch on your jersey.
Love it.
Man, they love that stuff, and it's something they could take off their jersey at the end of the year. Most kids would want to buy their jersey. Rick Jones is in here. I'm going to ask you this because you can contribute to this podcast. For all my listeners, Rick Jones is a national coach of the year, 9-time state champion, and he's an assistant coach at Missouri now. So, Coach Jones, how have you rewarded kids in the past, and how are they doing at Missouri in 2026?
I think we have the same issue. We talk about exactly the same things. How do you reward the behavior that you want? And how do you encourage the behavior that you want? I went to Harding, and in those days, I don't think they still do it, but they required you to go to chapel 5 days a week. And I'll never forget, one of the chapel speakers was a student, and he said something to the effect that there's no pride in doing good if you have no opportunity to do badly. I butchered the quote, but I think that it sort of talks about how we deal with our guys, in that if they are volunteering to do things in a certain way, then we need to try to reward them. We need to figure out a way to reward them. And I think our guys have similar things that they get excited about, t-shirts and things like that, even though some of them can buy a t-shirt factory. But I think it's important that you reward the behavior you want. That's just part of it. When we were at Greenwood High School, we'd have a summer program we called Fast Dogs. And if a kid came to every single workout, he got a 100% Bulldog t-shirt. And that was a source of pride. It's very simple, but there were no excuses. There was no such thing as an excused absence. Now, I remember one time we had a mom that went through fast dogs because we let anybody go through it. And she asked me if she could go at the earlier session.
Wait a minute. A mom went through your summer conditioning?
Oh, yeah.
Because that's,
Yeah. We had several moms. We had a sports writer one time go through it. Actually, we had two sports writers, one in Edmond, Oklahoma, and one in Greenwood when we were there. But we let people, I think it sort of adds, it sort of adds to the legend.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
letting them do it. But anyway, she came up to me before the last day and asked me if she could work out with the boys, which started at 6:30 instead of working out with the girls. And I said, well, I guess so. I said, is there no other time you can do it? She said, no, my father-in-law's funeral. And I really want that shirt. So
Oh my gosh.
we let her work out with the big boys, who we call the big boys. But it's a simple thing. She could buy probably 500,000 shirts if she wanted to. She had a very wealthy husband, but it just little things like that, they sort of become a tradition. And I think part of the thing that made it difficult is there was no wiggle room. You either went every day or you didn't get a shirt. And it didn't matter if your car broke down or you had to go to Grandma Susie's funeral. It did not matter. It was 100% Bulldog. And every day that we passed them out, I'd have mamas and grandmamas and sometimes dad and granddads come up and tell me how horrible it was that I didn't give their Johnny a 100% Bulldog t-shirt. And every once in a while, just to be a smart aleck, I'd say, well, I tell you, next year, I think we're going to do that 92% Bulldog t-shirt. So maybe you could hold out for that. But I think it's really simple. Everyone that wore that shirt around town, they knew they were there every single day.
Yeah.
And, there's another aspect of it. Well, what do you do when you get there and things like that? But that's part of it.
Okay, Marcus, I'm fixing to give you the last word. So be thinking about this, Marcus, while I'm telling this story. What is the one thing a coach can do tomorrow? And Rick, you can participate in this too. What's one thing a coach can do tomorrow to start rewarding his players that, will drive behavior? So here's how important this is. John Perry is the head coach at Nixa, Missouri, and he's got a 5-star offensive tackle. I talked about this in the last podcast, but I'm going to say it again because it relates to this podcast as well. And he was one of the top, maybe the top offensive lineman in the country, signed with Miami, no telling how much he got in NIL money. But Nixa had an award, an off-season weight award, which they don't have an athletic period, so it'd be at 6 a.m., called the Iron Eagle. And it was some type of WWE belt like Marcus was talking about. And this kid, his name's Jackson Cantwell, he told Coach Perry that his biggest regret is he never won the Iron Eagle Award. And I think to myself, if he's won every award you could win, Gatorade Player of the Year, you name it, and all this attention, all this money, and he is ticked he didn't win the Iron Eagle Award. These awards matter.
Yep.
Award your players. Give them something. It doesn't have to be expensive. Give them T-shirts, candy bars, but also think about something they'll have the rest of their life.
That's right.
So, Coach Klund, what is the crux of this podcast is I'm going to take things and I can use them tomorrow. What's your advice to a coach they can do tomorrow?
You got to find the criteria, find a way of what it is that you want to reward, kind of build a criteria of it. I think it's extremely important that it's done. In order to get consistency out of guys, consistent effort in the things that we want out of players, you have to have a reward system for those guys. When you do have that, then you're going to build consistency with efforts. Just finding out what is your criteria when you're starting to try to figure out what it is that you want to do. What do you want to call it? What you call the Iron Eagle Award. Find a name and what exemplifies that Iron Eagle. What kind of criteria underneath that Iron Eagle Award does somebody have to get to achieve that? I think that's first and foremost, and I think every coach should do it. You should have a reward system within your program, regardless of what level it is. I think it's extremely important for players.
So I should have asked this earlier, but how different would your practices be? I know these guys are pros and they're going to
Mhm.
go hard, but if you didn't track production and say this is a crime against the team and we're going to open every meeting with a picture and have an award, how different would your practices be effort wise?
I think it would be different. I don't think you'll get as much out of the guys. I really don't. And when you do have something like that, now you're building competition within your room, within your team, because everybody wants that award. Everybody wants to be recognized. And when you got something where you're recognizing hard work or you're recognizing production or playmaking, then it's just I think it kind of gets mellow for guys.
Yeah.
And mellow is not good because if guys get mellow, then you're not growing. They get
Yeah.
comfortable. And I will always say, comfort is the enemy of success. So, you gotta have it. And like you said, the practice would not be as high intense if guys weren't getting called out for hard work, player of practice or whatever term, like we call it dog of the day. I think it's extremely important because you're just constantly building competition and guys want to be rewarded and they want to be the elite. They want to,
Yeah.
they want to achieve a lot.
I mean, I think back to when I practiced, I was a good kid.
Mhm.
My dad was the head coach, so I wasn't loafing in practice, but we had zero award system in the 80s.
Yeah.
And my only goal in practice was not to get yelled at. So I'm going to go hard enough. My dad doesn't yell at me.
Yeah.
And if
Yeah.
you're not rewarding players, I want you to think about this. If you're not rewarding players, that's probably their mindset.
Yeah.
I just need to get through this without getting fussed at.
Yeah.
Marcus, we both coached at the Alaska football camp,
Yeah.
which y'all is incredible. There is every one football camp basically in Alaska. All the kids come. I mean, they fly in because Alaska is so big. And how many coaches are at the Alaska football camp? 40?
Yeah. Yeah.
40.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I've only gone one time because we literally sleep on air mattresses in classrooms and I wasn't tough enough. So I haven't ever been back. Marcus won coach of the camp and got a awesome gold. What do you call that thing where you pan for
Just like a
gold?
gold pan, like the pans for gold,
Yep.
sorting out gold panning.
Gold
But it's a
panning.
big gold pan.
And it
And that,
says
and,
Alaska football camp coach of the
yeah,
year or
Mr.
something,
Camp
right?
is what they call it. Yeah, for the
Mr.
coach of
Camp. If you live to be 200, are you still going to have that pan?
it is 100%. It's one of my favorite awards. It meant a lot to me,
Yeah.
and it was voted on with all the coaches in camp. So all the coaches in camp voted for Mr. Camp, the coach of the camp.
Yeah.
So it's so cool. Love it. It's in my trophy case where I got stuff. And it's one it's right there. Like you walk in and you see, that's what you see. That's like the first thing. And it's just because it's big, it's gold. It's just very unique, man. And it's definitely one I'll cherish forever for the rest of my life.
That costs some money, guys, but think about things that don't cost money. In Germany, and I'll say this one really quick, but we used to do a 3-inch white stripe on the back of our O-line helmets because during D-Day, all the officers had a 3-inch white stripe on the back of their helmet. And the soldiers said, hey, when you hit the beach, it's going to be smoky and all hell's going to break loose. Follow the white stripe. And believe it or not, guys, a German knew about this and said, Coach, can the O-linemen have white stripes like that? And the running backs just follow us. And I said, yes. Well,
awesome.
They had to earn it. And I mean, there was a criteria. We had a receiver that played at Penn State who weighed $170, and he played in front of 100,000 people against Ohio State and those kind of people. And he wanted one of those white stripes so bad. I love the sledgehammer, the hard hat, put their helmet stickers on it, give it out to the guy who wins it at the end. Marcus, this was one of my favorite podcasts because we're rewarding people, man.
Right.
You're a real football coach who I could have on this thing once a month, and coaches would get better. So thank you.
I appreciate you, Coach. Appreciate you for having me on, man. It's always love talking ball and anything with football, just anything with you, man. I really enjoy it. Appreciate you.
I'm so excited for you. And you've got a Calgary Stampeder fan and Heath, Texas, buddy. So thank you.
I appreciate that. Hopefully this is the year we bring the whole thing home, bring that cup home.
Awesome.
I'm doing poutine player of the week. I'm going to do that.